Hi everyone, it's Rebecca Virginia, and today's video is a sweet summer hop. I'll tell you more about the hop later on in the video, but let's get started with the DIYs. Today's DIYs all have a lemon theme, and although that might not be the sweetest of summer fruits, I associate it with lemonade and lemon cake and all things summery and delicious. So I'm starting off with this adorable floral crate DIY. Here's what you need to make it. I'm starting off with 2 bottles that I got from the Dollar Tree. I've said this before, but they are actually iced coffee bottles. They're the only glass bottles of iced coffee that I've seen sold in the Dollar Tree. And again, they're amazing for crafting and really delicious, so definitely pick them up if you see them. I painted them entirely in yellow, but I left the upper about quarter of the bottle plain. Then I'm going in with some white paint and just decorating the top. The top was still looking a little bit plain to me. I didn't like it just with the white paint only, so I wrapped the entire top area of the bottle in jute, and then I'm actually going back in with the white paint and painting over it. I liked the way the white paint looked, but I just wanted to add a little bit of texture and something slightly different, so that's why I went over it again with the paint. Then I kept going back and forth with the paint. I just couldn't make up my mind. I thought too much of the white paint made it kind of look like a milk bottle, and that was not the vibe that I was going for with this DIY. So I ended up adding a bit more of that yellow paint, and I thought about taping it out to really create a nice crisp line, but I was too scared that if I put down painter's tape, it might actually peel some of that white paint off of glass. Painter's tape's a little tricky when you're using glass, so I just freehanded it. Then I made these cute little labels that say pucker up and squeeze the day, just using plain yellow cardstock and this really fun lemon cardstock that I found at Hobby Lobby. And I just took a glue stick to glue them together, and I really liked the way they came out. I thought it was super cute having the patterned scrapbooking paper peeking out from behind that yellow one. I tied them with a piece of jute and then just hot glued that onto our crate. I also completely forgot to film this, but I did paint the crate white using some Waverly chalk paint. And then I took a longer strip of that same lemon scrapbooking paper from Hobby Lobby and just created a little border on the crate. I didn't want it to be plain white, and I thought the paper was so pretty, I just had to use it again. Also, if you can't find lemons at the Dollar Tree, just take some Easter eggs, add some paint, and you've got lemons. Now we've got our crate, our bottles, our Easter egg lemons. Now we need to create some floral arrangements. If you're really bad at creating floral arrangements, don't worry, I have got you with a little trick. What you're going to do is take a floral arrangement from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to kind of start taking it apart. I didn't like how large some of these yellow flowers were, so I took the backs off and about 2 layers of the petals, and then I put the backs back onto the flowers. Now the floral arrangement we had earlier from the Dollar Tree is pretty much all taken apart. We just have one lone yellow flower left on it. And what I'm going to do is start taking some other flowers that I really like. I thought these daisies were super pretty, and I also took a bunch of these smaller white flowers. And now that I have all of my flower pieces, I'm going to begin arranging them on that blank arrangement exactly how I want. If you remember, this was just a floral arrangement of these yellow flowers, but since I have taken some off, I am now free to add an arrangement how I like, again adding a little bit of that daisy and the larger white flower. And then I took my Easter egg lemon, which actually worked easier than the Dollar Tree lemons because there's already a hole in it. And all of a sudden, instead of just a plain yellow flower arrangement, I now have one with lots of different variations of greenery, flowers, and even a lemon. I had leftover foam Easter eggs from the Dollar Tree, which I painted into a lemon. So then I took one of these floral picks that I had popped the flower off and just stuck that into my styrofoam lemon and then added it into my arrangement towards the front. I repeated the exact same process with my other jar, filling it with flowers and some of my faux lemons. Then as a final touch, I made a little bow for the front of them using some gingham ribbon. I hope this DIY was especially helpful for those of you who requested more floral arranging DIYs. I will definitely be doing more specific floral arranging in the future, but this is a really quick trick that I love using when I am in a pinch, and it's great for beginners, but I promise I will have more floral arranging in future videos. Hi everybody, it's Rebecca Virginia. I hope that you're enjoying today's summer hop. It is hosted by Megan over at The Crafty Quinn and Rhonda from The Distressed Princess DIY. Make sure to head to the link down in my description box so you can hop on over to the next video. Also, if you're new here, welcome. I post new DIY videos every Thursday, so make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell so you never miss out on a future video. Next up is a tabletop cathedral window decor piece that always reminds you to have a zest for life. Here's what you need to recreate it. I'm beginning with one of these arches from the Dollar Tree, and I just quickly pulled off that center tag, and I'm just covering it with some white Waverly chalk paint to just cover up the lettering that was already on there. Then to distress it just a tiny bit and have it kind of go a little bit more with our gray arch, I just took a little bit of Waverly paint in the shade Elephant and just dry brushed a tiny bit of it onto that center plate. Now what's going to go onto our center plate is this Have a Zest for Life printable, which I will have linked below. It is free. And once I cut it out, I went ahead and just used a glue stick to stick it down onto that piece. And I forgot to film this part, so I'm sorry, but all I did was take some lemon scrapbooking paper from Hobby Lobby and literally just use duct tape to duct tape it to the back of our arch. I love the way it looked. It just reminds me of a secret garden, but instead of a garden, it's a lemon grove. So once I had taped the scrapbooking paper into place, I just went ahead and added a little bit of hot glue to hot glue this back on to our cathedral arch. Also, because I just used tape and scrapbooking paper, you can always change this out for the seasons. Moving right along to our next DIY, we have a lemon-themed piece of home decor. This is a really easy DIY, but I think it looks adorable in any home. Here are the supplies you'll need to make it. I'm starting off with the very popular wood houses from the Dollar Tree. I did use this in another DIY, I think in the fall, so I had already stained the wood, but if you're using this for the first time, you'll need to do that. Then I just traced out my house shape onto a piece of plain scrapbooking paper. Then to adhere my paper down onto my house, I just took a regular old glue stick and then just pressed down that paper. And then it was on to figuring out what kind of lettering I wanted to use. You can use the rub-on transfers from Crafter's Square or a stencil, but in this case, I really have been loving the Crafter's Square vinyl, so I wanted to try it out again in a project. So I went ahead and placed that down. I also picked up these wood fruit theme stickers from the Dollar Tree and went ahead and painted those into lemons. I did a lighter lemon and then one that was a little bit darker, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to use, so I just set those aside and decided I would figure it out later after I completed my DIY a little bit more. I had bought these really pretty rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree back in the spring, but just couldn't figure out a DIY to use them with, but I was determined that I was definitely going to use it in this one, and I loved this big wreath of eucalyptus, but it made no sense whatsoever. So I quickly scrapped that idea, but I really liked the idea of just using 4 of the little eucalyptus rub-on transfer sprigs and putting those in the 4 corners of this project. You could just use your fingers. I ended up using the Cricut piece for a little bit, but just rubbing it on with your fingers worked just fine. Once I had those eucalyptus sprigs placed down, I kept going back and forth with whether I liked the lighter lemon or the darker lemon, but I thought the darker would show up better in pictures and in the video, so I ended up going with that one and hot gluing down the wooden base. This was a really quick and easy DIY, and if you don't like the lemon, you can always replace it with a different type of fruit and still have it look nice and summery. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next Thursday with a new video. Until then, keep searching, keep creating.